Welcome back to GA Fan TV. Derry 1-11, Dublin 13 points. Dublin have been beaten in Celtic Park. A late point in the end from Derry snatches the victory. Dublin leave empty-handed, having led 5 points at half-time, having looked comfortable. You were thinking, there's no way Dublin are going to throw this away. Like, we look too good and Derry look really poor. But long and behold, Dublin have absolutely bottled that, thrown it away, and just a terrible performance in the second half. And it's hard to really know how it got to that. Like, we looked so in control. We looked so in control up until the Derry goal by Niall Toner, which really changed the momentum of the game on the 45th minute. And it's just same old for Dublin. Same old from Dublin, unfortunately. And this has been a common theme, unfortunately, since 2020. Since the All-Ireland win in 2020, Dublin haven't looked right. We have not looked right. We looked all right in the league that year, in fairness. But since then, we have not looked right at all. We have not looked right at all. Every time we look good, we just have a habit of throwing it away. Like, a good first half performance is followed by a poor second half performance. And Dublin have rode their luck. We have rode our luck so hard in the league so far this year. We should have been beat by Clare. We should have been beat by Cork. You know, Dublin should be sitting there with 2 wins and 3 defeats. And I think, you know, that would be the reality check that this Dublin team needs. But just so disappointing that we've thrown that away. And fair play to Derry. Like, they brought, you know, but we knew they were going to do that. We knew in the second half that Derry were gonna push up more on kickouts. So we're going to make it more difficult. They were going to get in our faces. They were going to bring that aggressiveness and physicality that they didn't bring in the first half at all. You know, they didn't bring that at all in the first half. We knew they were going to make it tough for us. And, you know, Brendan Rodgers was going to start, you know, going further afield. Maybe some of the Derry substitutes might make a difference, like Lakeland Murray and Ushie McWilliams look very good when they come on. We knew they were going to go after us and make it tough for us, and we just completely wilted and, you know, just let them at it. You know, just let them at it. And decision making very poor in the second half. I mean, that opportunity for Kieran Kilkenny, he's running through. Cormac Costello's right there by his left hand side. Just hand pass it over to him, and Costello will volley the ball in, you know, with his hands into the back of the net. And that is game, set, and match. We would have been 4 points up with a couple of minutes to go, and he puts it over the bar. And I don't know what it is, but we just lack that killer instinct that Dublin have had down the years. You know, we lack that killer instinct. And I think this game, for me, proves that Dublin, we're not serious All-Ireland contenders, in my opinion. And I don't think we are. You know, I think it's the end of an era. I think it well and truly is the end of an era, in my opinion. It really is. And look, fair play to Derry. You give them credit, but the Dublin team of a couple of years ago sees that game out. We win that game. You know, we win that game, and we just didn't do so in the end. And, you know, you think of how poor, Derry played all right, but they never really got going until the final 20 minutes. And then once a bit of pressure came, we just fell apart. We absolutely fell apart. And more defensive issues, like we've conceded 5 goals now in our last 4 matches. You look at the teams we've played, with all due respect, we've played Limerick, we've played Clare, Cork, and Derry. Look, Derry are probably going to be, you know, up there. You know, I still have my reservations about this Derry. Like, I thought a better team there would have put Derry to the sword. Even at the start of the second half, they still looked quite vulnerable, and they still didn't look quite at the races. And we just completely flopped. We completely flopped, threw it away. And fair play to Derry, you know, fair play to the Oakleaf County. It's a massive result, a famous win to beat Dublin, as it always is. You know, their supporters will enjoy it, and they should do so. You know, where did they deserve it? Victors, it's hard to know, because Dublin were so good in the first half and Derry were so poor. And I thought we were good up until the goal went in, and then we just completely fell apart. But Derry, you know, fair play. They took advantage. They took advantage, and they done what Clare couldn't do, what Cork couldn't do. They put the nail in our coffin, and they kept their composure right at the death. And that point by Brendan Rodgers in injury time, sensational, absolutely sensational point from Brendan Rodgers, who had a very good game and was the deserved man of the match. But yeah, like, looking at the first half, I mean, in the first half, we've seen everything that was right about Dublin. Like, I mean, we went at Derry's throats. We got in behind them. We made life difficult for them. You know, Lee Gannon, I thought, had a very solid game. He was getting himself in some great advanced positions. James McCarthy was making a lot happen. Brian Fenton I was very impressed with. And we looked bang up for it. And you could see even in the body language of the Dublin players, like there was moments where, I think Lee Gannon gets a point and sort of, cuffs his fists and jumps up in the air. There was another instance where Brian Fenton wins a kick out, wins a foul, and he's doing the same. You could see it really meant a lot for Dublin this game. Like they were really bang up for it. And that was great to see because we haven't seen that at all in the league. And the first half performance from Dublin was definitely the best we have seen Dublin perform in the league so far this year. And then in the second half, we just gradually allowed Derry back into it. We could have put the nail in the coffin. There was another opportunity. I think it might have been Kieran Kilkenny. I can't remember who it was, but there was another opportunity. I think it was John Small, actually, who ran through and he put the ball over the bar. He could have went for goal. He could have went for goal there as well. And there was just a bit of reluctance there to put the nail in the coffin. And yeah, just a little bit of poor shooting. Dean Rock missed 2 45s. Both of them dropped short. I know maybe conditions were tough and the breeze and everything else, but normally you'd see Dean Rock put them over. I thought Dean Rock was having a decent enough game. I didn't really understand the decision to take him off with 13 minutes. He took him off with 13 minutes to go. I don't know if it was an injury or what happened there, but I would have kept him on. He bring Sean Lowry on, who just didn't wasn't involved in the game at all. And yeah, like you're looking at it and thinking, we need Paul Mannion to come back. We need the Kilmacud Crokes lads like Darren Mullen or these lads to come into the side, because there's no, we're just not, we don't have options. Like we made, looking at it on Score Bio, I think we made 3 changes: Noel Scully, Brian Howard, Colm Basquel. There was no one else we could bring on there to change the game, and that's just really, really poor. And yeah, we, fair play to Derry. Like they really, really went for it, and they were clever. Like I thought there was a few challenges that went in from Dublin defenders and Dublin players that, I think some of the Derry players could have carried on and continued with the ball. They were fouls and they were frees, but they played the game and we were able to win those frees. And in fairness, that point that we levelled with from Cormac Costello, that was never a free. That was, I think Conor Glass and one of the other Dublin players just a coming together. There was nothing in it at all, and the ref gives a free to Dublin. And I think we didn't deserve that. We didn't deserve that point because it wasn't a free. So yeah, bizarre, but look, that's Dublin for you, unfortunately. We'll run through some comments here. Plenty of comments flying in here, so great to see. Yeah, we'll run through them now. John says Dublin beat themselves. Long kickouts played into Derry's hands. Yeah, very, very disappointing. And the thing is as well about Dublin is like we didn't slow the game down, or when you remember Dublin in 2017 and that All-Ireland final, we were a point up with about 5 minutes to go. We just kept possession, waited for the moments. Even when we went behind, even 2019 against Kerry as well, waited for the moment, just kept the ball, waited. And then when the right moment came, we went for it. And sometimes maybe you can put it wide then, but you give yourself your best possible chance. And we didn't do that. We just started getting sloppy and playing overhit passes and running the ball out over the sideline and just being very, very silly, in my opinion. If this was Division 1, Dublin would be struggling as it is. Yeah, like we'd be in the same position as we would be last year, possibly even worse, actually, to be honest with you. The ref won it for Derry. I disagree. Like even as a Dublin fan, I don't really think so. I think there was probably a few Derry players probably bought fouls more so, but I think there were heavy challenges that went in, and I think they were fouls. Like it's it is what it is. Dublin were really shit in the second half, but in the first half Derry were playing. Yeah. Look, I mean, we were very poor in the second half. Derry were very poor in the first half. But, Derry brought their A game in the second half and went for it, and we wilted, and, maybe if the roles could have been reversed, we would have been the better team in the second half. But yeah, Derry players were going down like scud missiles, and the ref fell for it. Yeah, they were going down very, very easily. But some of them probably were frees, in fairness. And it is what it is, it is what it is. Bye Dublin, says Jarlath. I'm harsh on refs and thought he was balanced enough. Yeah, I don't think the referee got any of the decisions wrong, but I think just some of the Derry players bought them. But that's what you have to do. You have to play the game and play the system, and fair play. They bought their way back into it. Is it time for Desi to go? Says John. Yeah, I think it is. I think it is now. To be honest with you, I think I think obviously this isn't the Premier League run where you just get rid of managers mid-season. So you keep Desi until the end of the year, but I think at the end of the season that has to be that. Like fair play. Look, Desi's a Dublin legend, and he owes nothing to Dublin football. He's won an All-Ireland as a player, manager, with the under-20s as a manager, with the minors as a manager. Like, he's given so much to Dublin down the years, and so much of his time and commitment. And he will go down as a Dublin legend, make no question about it. But I think they and like we there hasn't been improvement since last year, and I know people would say, oh, it's only the league and blah 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 blah, and like maybe, but that's how it was last year. Like, Dublin were poor in the league, and then we put in one good performance against Kerry. We steamrolled Kildare in the Leinster final, but even at that, like, the game was over at half time. It's hard to really judge our games in Leinster. And I think the group stages will be great this year because Dublin will be playing tough teams. Be playing tough teams in there, and we might not even get out of that, to be honest. So, but yeah, Dublin just casually nuked themselves. Yeah, just complete self-destruct button. Exactly when Dublin got equaliser, they should have retained possession. Yeah, like, we should have just been calm, collected, and waited for the right chance, waited for the right opening, and we didn't do that. We did. Look, fair play to Derry, like, for bringing that fight and energy. And Brendan Rodgers was outstanding. I mean, he done so much work in the second half. Really, really came into the game. Their substitutes made a big difference, like Ushie McWilliams, Lakeland Murray. I think that's maybe a difference between this Derry team and Derry of last year, is that they have a lot of good options coming off the bench, and Rory Gallagher's brought younger players into the side. And they were the deserved victors in the end. I think maybe a draw would have been the fair result, but Derry took that chance at the end. They took that opportunity, and fair play to them. He should have brought McCaffrey on. Yeah, surprising. Like, and looking at it there, I don't even know if McCaffrey was even on the bench. Just looking at it on Score BO. I don't even think he was on the bench. I don't even think he was on the bench. So yeah, like, I think just looking at the options to come off the bench, like, we didn't really bring anyone on, so yeah. Next game, team talk should be don't listen to Desi. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I think and the worrying thing is, like, I think Dublin will have enough, I think, to get out of this division. And like, I think I think the only team that could actually catch us is Louth, unless we were to lose both, lose to Meath and to Louth, then all of a sudden you're looking at a scenario where we could be, Cork might potentially catch us, or possibly even Louth, but yeah, like, I think we'll probably, like, against Meath we should have enough, but you just don't know. There seems to be a bit of a weak underbelly in this Dublin side. John says, I can't see an All-Ireland in the team while Desi is in charge. He's been a great down through the years, but there comes a time for a change. And yeah, I think so. I think yeah, I think there has to be better managers out there. Like, if you could get Jim Gavin back, that would be great, but probably not a realistic option. Declan Darcy, was probably the next best man. He was obviously the assistant to Jim Gavin down the years, so maybe he's an option. But yeah, like, I think that there isn't improvement. The game management is poor defensively. 5 goals conceded in 4 games, getting cut open left, right, and centre. And there's just not much. How can you go from being that good in the first half to that bad in the second half? It's because clearly you can see the talent levels are there with some of the players, like Lee Gannon, brilliant, in the first half, and we done so well for so many parts, and then the final 20 minutes we just completely collapsed, and fell apart. So yeah, Paul Flynn, I mentioned. Sky Glasses, Kerry and Dublin are doing crap right now, which goes to show that no one is invincible. Yeah, but I think with Kerry, you can look at it though and think they're playing in Division 1 against great sides. They've had a difficult fixture list, in fairness, and they've clearly been missing players. Clearly missing David Clifford, Sean O'Shea. They played last week and won the game. So, with Kerry, there's you can see what the issue is. But Dublin are playing Division 2 teams and barely getting over the line. And look, Derry are a Division 1 team, and that's them pretty much promoted now. But we're just all over the place. Can barely beat Clare, can barely beat Cork. Like, I know they're good teams, but this is Dublin we're talking about. Like, should be competing for an All Ireland. Like, one of the favourites for the All Ireland. Like, Clare are not favourites for an All Ireland. Cork are not favourites. So, yeah, a lot of work needs to be done. Positives to take from the first half, but the second half was just the same old Dublin we've seen, and it's probably fair that Dublin did lose that, because we got out of jail on 3 of our last 4 matches, and you can't keep getting out of jail. Eventually, your luck will run out, and that's what's happened. That is what's happened. And fair play to Derry. Great result for them. Great turnaround. That's them pretty much promoted now. I can't remember who they play in their final 2 games, but they'll be promoted now. They've got a 4-point cushion anyway, so they'll be perfectly fine. So it's all sort of done and dusted for them. And Dublin, should still get promoted. Like, we definitely have what it takes to beat Meath, although going away from home, like, might be a bit of a tough one. And look, we should, if we're not beating Louth, then we might as well just pack it in. Like, fair play to Louth, but yeah, I don't think Dublin were bad. Derry were just good. I thought we were good. I thought we were really good for 50 minutes, and then we just, in the final 20 minutes, it kind of just fell apart. And I think the opposite with Derry. I think they were poor enough for 50 minutes. And then in the final 20, they were really good, and they capitalized on our poor shooting and sort of our poor game management. And it could have went either way. But yeah. But look, fair play to Derry. Great result for them. Dublin get beat for the first time this year, and we'll probably meet Derry again in the league final, and maybe that'll be a chance for revenge. Obviously I'm recording this straight after the result, so maybe I am, maybe tomorrow I'll calm down a bit and look at this in a different light. But for now, anyway, I think it's just very disappointing to see Dublin have lost that killer instinct and that ability to kill teams off like we used to. And although you would look at it and say it is the league, it is Division 2, and like we should be doing better, and our performances should be doing better than where we're at. When you look at the Clare game, the Cork game, like, if this was a once-off, that second half, and we were great in all the other 4 games, you'd say, fair enough. But like, this has been a reoccurring theme. James says, look at the difference on the sideline. Let's just be honest, backroom team aren't great either. Yeah, I mean, you look at Rory Gallagher, and he's bang into it. He's spitting at his hands every couple of minutes. Certainly don't want Desi to do that now, but Desi just kind of looks a bit lost at times, and Dublin just look a bit lost out on the field when the going gets tough. And did a good performance against Kerry in the second half last year paper over the cracks? It probably did, when you actually look at the broad scheme of things. Other than that Costello goal last year, we didn't create any goal chances. Sean O'Shea misses a penalty when he probably should have scored it. Mick Fitzsimons or Evan Comerford wasted a lot of time with that black card, and probably rode our luck in that game more so than than actual brilliance. And yeah, just looking at it, I think it is the end of an era, but we'll see what happens. There was a lot of good stuff in that first half. If we can iron out the poor form of the second half, you think maybe, but there's been too many reoccurring poor performances, and that's the worry. Maybe to finish up with it, Gavin says this former Dublin will probably be at 6th in Division 1 next year. And Meadman says felt a bit bad for Dublin. I feel they play better football than Derry. Don't like how Derry set up defensively, makes it boring, but it gets them the win. And yeah, like they did bring a game plan in the or a bit of a plan B in the second half. Like, they pushed up more on kickouts, and they played a bit further up the pitch. They went at Dublin a bit more. They took more risks, and it paid off. It did pay off. But yeah, there was it was just it kind of just fell apart in the final 20 minutes, unfortunately. This was a game Dublin could and should have won, and yeah, like that usually is the thing. That this is a game you would have seen Dublin grind the way out, and that was kind of killer instinct. It just doesn't seem there. Look, we'll get through Leinster probably comfortably, but when it gets to those group stages, I think Dublin could be in a bit of trouble. Depending on who we get in that group. Obviously, we'll avoid the provincial winners, because I think we will win Leinster, realistically speaking. So look, I don't know. We'll see what happens. But disappointing for Dublin. Great for Derry. Fair play to them. Big result. And cheers anyone who tuned in to the watch along earlier. Cheers anyone who tuned in to this match reaction. If you could hit the like button and subscribe, it will be very much appreciated. And watching the Armagh versus Donegal game now as we speak. So we will do a reaction after that game as well. So see you all later. Cheers anyone who tuned in.